Say welcome to Thriving in Abundance Talk. Of course, today is a Thursday and we're doing our Woman Thrive series. It is an absolute pleasure for me this afternoon to welcome this cracker, Mrs. BONI. Welcome, Mahlela.
Thank you so much, Zodwa. Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon.
Oh, my brand new habits,
Wow, that's groovy now, Sabang.
Yeah. It's all right. Woman Thrive is really about just inspiring women out there to say, here is a young lady from Maritzburg,
Mbali, yeah.
Mbali, who has risen and is now the general manager of one of the biggest radio stations in the country, also in KwaZulu-Natal, East Coast Radio. But I was challenged just a little bit to see who are you, where you come from, what are you up to?
Yeah, thank you so much, Zodwa. So my name is BONI, ngowakahlela and ngishadele kwaMchunu. I'm a very God-fearing woman. I'm a sister to 4 siblings. I come from a family of 5 girls. I don't have a brother. My mom and dad tried 5 times. They never got it right. So, and I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, I'm an aunt, and I'm a proudly South African woman. So yeah, generally that's me. I was born and bred in Pietermaritzburg in a township called Mbali Township. And that's where I grew up. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Beautiful. What excites you? What keeps you going on a daily basis? I know what you jog, you run, you know, the type that's ever on the physical side.
Yeah. So what inspires me, honestly, is I strongly believe that everybody have a potential to be successful in whatever that you do in life. Yeah. I believe strongly that your past does not define your future. I believe in that very strongly. I mean, I grew up in a township in Pietermaritzburg, like I was saying, very poor. I mean, my dad could only afford to give us the bare minimum. So we lost our mom when we were very young. So I was brought up by my dad. So like if I talk about parents, I only talk about my dad because my mom died when I was very young. So I really, really believe that nothing is impossible if you put your mind to it. And that drives me. So I believe in looking after yourself. I always believe you can't love somebody else if you can't love yourself. So, and things that I really do, there are things, you know, especially when you are a mom, if you are not mindful and deliberate about making your me time, it's very easy to be swayed away by family chores, work chores, and things just it doesn't end. So yeah. When you say what inspires me, I get inspired by doing things that really pleases my soul. Like running is one of them. Going to gym is one of them. Reading, I love reading a lot because growing up, I never used to read so much, but I learned that reading can empower you so much. So reading is one of my biggest things as well. So yeah, but running is my escapism. You know, when there's just so much, let's say you've just finished a board meeting that was hectic. So I just go home, put on my techies and run away. So yeah.
Wow. All right, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Shout out to Babu Shela and shout out to all the guys out there that are raising girls. Yeah. And he did very well. He did very well, Babu Shela. So now, how you like? Was it your knee? Was it your ankle that was that's where you had a problem when you were hit and you couldn't run for a while?
Oh, my knee. I was mountain biking and I fell off the bike. And then I broke my kneecap. So it's much better now, but it's still not 100%. So I can't run long distances. Like I can run a race. So at this point in time, I can't run long distances. The longest I can take is 10 kilometers. And my pace is not yet back. But yeah, so it's going to take some time. It's been 5 months. They said maybe after 6-8 months, I should be fully operational. So at this point, I'm going through rehab to get my strength on my knee back. So it's such a frustrating process, but I guess I have to go through it.
I can imagine, but I'm sure you'll find something else that will, be satisfying to your soul.
Yeah.
Always find
Sure.
alternatives to figure things out. So now you mentioned that you are also a mom. I know that you have 2 boys and a girl, and I mean sometimes I see your posts, everybody's busy, everybody's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
How do you balance all these roles, and so of course when we look at the pictures on Instagram, it just looks like it's seamless.
Oh my gosh, Zoda, I find that question a lot where people ask, how do you balance your life? I'll be lying to you if I say my life is balanced, because I don't even think it's possible to balance it out. So for me, what I try and do genuinely is to be deliberate about what it is that I'm doing. So when I'm at work, I give 100% attention to work. When I'm at home, I give 100% attention to home. So my kids, my husband, because it's a lot, honestly, to juggle it all and keep it all on the same level. I just think it's almost impossible. So I am very deliberate about what I do when I'm at home. So it's my time with my family. It's my time with the kids. It's my time with my husband. It's my time at work. So when I'm at work, I'm 100% at work. At home, 100% at home. And, there'll always be those blurred lines, but I'm very deliberate about making time for all my facets of life so that I'm happy, because,
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. 100% home, 100% at work, and you just make sure that when you are there, you give it your best. You did say that you are a God-fearing woman. I think I've seen you cooking banji.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So God has been at the center of my being. I remember, so I don't remember well when my mother died, but I remember very well when my father died, because I was a grown up, like I was like 21 or something. I was still young, but I was fully able to see what was happening around me. So I remember very well thinking, oh my gosh, now we don't have both parents. What's going to happen to us in a township? Will people come for us? We are all girls. What will happen? But God, being the God that he is, we were able to grow up. Nothing happened to us. And here we are today. We still stand tall, and we are nothing happened to us. So God is the center of my being. I'm a Catholic, proudly Catholic. So ngihamba umhlangano wenhliziyo, kuthiwa umhlangano we-Sacred Heart. So ngihamba umhlangano wenhliziyo, and like I believe very strongly in God, that with God nothing is impossible. If God is for you, nothing can happen against you. So I'm a Christian through and through. I'm a God-fearing woman.
Lovely. With God nothing is impossible. If God is for us, who can be against us?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the story of my life. All right, now coming back to your professional setup. So I know that I think you started working at ABSA. Yes. And okay, just take us through now from ABSA to Unilever to Tourism KZN to where you are now.
Yeah, the journey. Yeah, so it's been really, it's been quite a phenomenal and kind of roller coaster journey. But basically, so I started working at ABSA, and I like to tell the story behind my ABSA position, because I think that's where it all started. So I remember it was my last year. I had finished waiting for my results for my first junior degree, and I remember going up the streets of Pietermaritzburg, looking for the job, but nothing, like it was so hard. And I remember this one day at Pietermaritzburg, there's a community newspaper, it's called Echo, and it's still there today. So we went through classified, and they were looking for 25 salespeople, some company, and we all needed to go somewhere, meet someone for the sales positions. Got up the following day. I was like, this is it, end of tertiary life, no parents, you got to start working, BONI. We got there, we met some gentleman, Mr. Govender. Mr. Governor was selling. It was December time in Pietermaritzburg. I don't know, Zodwa. Pietermaritzburg is hot in December. It's like December, January, it's scorching hot.
I used to visit my grandmother, so
my gosh, it is hot. Yeah, it was so hot. We got there, we met this gentleman. Mr. Governor gave us Christmas trees. Said, it's Christmas time. You have 10 commercial trees, 10 domestic trees. You must walk around the streets of Pietermaritzburg. Gave us a price, go and sell. I went up and down. I could not sell a single tree. My last stop was at ABSA. I got there. I asked for the procurement manager. I met this gentleman. His name was Peter Charles. And he said to me, you're so young, you're so small, you're carrying such big trees. What's up? Do you have matric? Do you have matric? I said, not just matric, but I'm qualified as well. And he was like, oh my gosh, go take these trees back. Give me your CV. And that's how my journey started. I tell the story all the time because, you know, sometimes opportunities come dressed up in overalls, or all you have to do is just to pull up the sleeves to realize the opportunity. And that's how I started at ABSA. And for me, I've always said this, there's no job that's too big or too small for me. I could have easily said, oh my gosh, I can't sell trees, it's so hot. But because I'm just that kind of a person that, you know, there's no job that is too small or too big for me. And by doing those, like I went down 3 streets, but then I landed a job, my dream job at ABSA. And that's how I started my journey at ABSA. So I love that story. And then from there, I got married. I had to move to Durban because my husband was working in Durban. And again, going back to God, I remember listing the companies that I would like to work for. And Unilever was on top of the list. And most people used to say, oh my gosh, Unilever, you must come through the graduate program. I was like, I want to work in that company. And God, being the God that he is, I landed at Unilever. And actually, I thought that was going to be it. I felt so empowered. The opportunities that were bestowed upon me were just phenomenal. I remember I had an opportunity to go work for Unilever Ghana, and it was just amazing. But then on my 7th year at Unilever, I was headhunted by the Provincial Tourism Authority. And then I went and worked for Tourism KwaZulu-Natal. And I really, really enjoyed my time. Zoto, I remember you were one of the board members when I was a GM for marketing at tourism.
Yes,
amazing time, really. And one thing I took with me at tourism was really to be proudly South African, because I got an opportunity to travel the world selling South Africa and KZN. And I got to compare South Africa to the rest of the world. And I just don't think there's a country or a place like South Africa or KZN for that matter. So I will choose South Africa time and time again. And then on my 5th year there, was it 5th or 6th? Then I was headhunted by East Coast Radio. Oh my gosh. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you know, what? But, and then I remember when I came here for an interview the first day, you know, when I walked into reception, something just felt right. You know, when your intuition says, this is it. And it's been 5 years now, and I love it here. And really what I really like about East Coast Radio for me is that, you know, I believe in diversity. We pride ourselves by that as a radio station, that we are the most diverse radio station in KZN. And for me, when I say diversity, I mean gender, I mean race, I mean age, I mean, it cuts across. So I believe in that. And we consider ourselves as a fabric that binds KZN together. You must come to our events. I mean, if we have our big walk, 30,000 KZN citizens.
Yes, wow.
So it's just phenomenal. And so it's been 5 years and I love it here.
It's been 5 years and you love it then. Of course. Okay, what has been your biggest challenge? And of course, I remember that when you were at tourism KZN and when you were leaving, and we were like, but I mean, BONI, how can she? But I mean, obviously, God presents these opportunities for us, and it was an opportunity for growth. And but now, what I'd like to know is what has been your most challenging experience so far in your career?
Yeah, so I'll tell you personal challenges and maybe work-related challenges. I think personally, especially as a woman and as a Black woman, is that sometimes I lacked personally self-belief. You know, when you don't just believe in yourself, like you just don't think you are good enough, and that takes away confidence. So there were times where you feel like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. And so through reading, I have really learned to understand my worth. So, you know, there's one book that really, really moved me. I read it so long ago, but I still refer to it today. It's written by Joel Osteen. I think it says The Power of I Am. So, and I tell my kids, I tell my friends, colleagues, everybody, that the words we say behind I am, they are so powerful. And those words eventually find you. So it's so important, you know, the self-conversations, things that we say to ourselves are very important. So as women, as Black women, and career women, and as anybody, it's so important that, you know, you don't underestimate yourself. You have confidence, you believe in yourself, because those things finally find you. And then I think from a working challenges point of view, I think, of course, I mean, boardroom in corporate South Africa today, it's still very much not well representative of the South African population. Yes. So I think there's a lot that still needs to be done from a corporate South Africa point of view to make sure that the population of South Africa is well represented. So sometimes I just feel that, you know, people talk about women emancipation only in August when it's Women's Month, and then everybody tend to forget throughout the year, and then we talk about it the following year again. So I just think those conversations need to be ongoing in boardrooms, within government, within all spheres of life. Those conversations need to happen, that women need to be emancipated, not just on Women's Month, but on an ongoing basis. And it takes all of us, for us who are there now, we are in boardrooms, we sit in boards, we need to make sure that we make space, we take up the space. There's a point that was made by the reigning Miss South Africa. She's still reigning, or she's gone, Uzos Bini, where she said we need to walk into spaces, take up space. But for me, I always add that we must take those spaces up, but also make up space for the future generations.
All right, make up space for the future generations as well. So March 8 was International Women's Day, and the theme was what are we choosing to challenge? What are you choosing to challenge as BONI? You've just referred to the whole, issue of transformation and the boardrooms, which is really not there yet. But what are you choosing to challenge as BONI?
Yeah, my biggest passion, Zodwa, is education. And it's funny enough that today I've just come back, just before this interview, I've come back from a school in Inanda, which we have built a new block for admin, we have built a library, we have built a kitchen, and. So ever since I came here at East Coast Radio, my mission and my vision is that what can we as a business impact, what can we do to impact education positively and sustainably? So during this time, because, you know, working for such a big corporate in South Africa, or in KZN for that matter, there's a lot you can influence, right? And so my influence really is very much skewed towards impacting education. Like we would have not been able to build all this just as East Coast Radio. So we've invited other corporates to work with us in building the school, building the library, and so if anything, one thing I would like to be remembered for is maybe women emancipation for sure, but most importantly is education for me, because I believe that if we can impact education, then we will liberate South Africans in a most meaningful and sustainable way.
All right, if we can impact education, then we can liberate South Africa in the most sustainable way. I like that, and I've seen you talking about the fact that education is one of your passions that you have. What is it that you know now that you didn't know 5 years ago at a professional level?
Okay. What is it that I know now?
In other words, that you've been with East Coast for what? For 5 years, I think it is. Yeah.
5 years.
So,
yeah, 5 years.
So it would be something that would have been within that.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing for sure, which is really so COVID related, is that in business or life in general, you must always have a plan, but also have plan B, because life can be so unprecedented. What we've seen with COVID, I mean, when COVID started last year, I had never in my life thought that as a radio station. Radio station, you need studios for you to be able to broadcast from, and. I'd never thought we will be able to broadcast remotely, give people setups to remotely broadcast and still be able to do what we did during COVID, hard lockdown. So one thing I've learned is that in life, you need to have a plan, because my biggest philosophy is that if you don't plan, you are defaulting planning to fail. So you must have a plan, but also you must have plan B, because things happen, and they can happen so unpredicted, and things just happen. So plan to have a plan B.
Plan to have a plan B. All right, wonderful. So coming back to education, I noticed, was it a year or two ago, where you were doing a program that had some kind of international base, and you seem to be always on the move. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's also studying over it, and on top of everything else that she's doing. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to be given this opportunity here at East Coast Radio. Really, education is my passion. I say this time and time again. And I believe that as women, we must forever do that, because it's empowering, it gives you self-confidence, and you just really get to know stuff, because people who can be trailblazers, whether in your industry or just in business in general, you gotta know your stuff. So, and you can do that academically and otherwise. So I was given an opportunity to study this. It was called an international executive program, which just the executives at Kagiso Media owns East Coast Radio, were given this opportunity. So I got to study at the business school at Wits, and then the program went to London. So I was like this girl from the dusty township girl. I studied at London Business School, and then we went to the US in Columbia Business School. So it was just a phenomenal experience, because we got to see other executives, and then you talk about business stuff that is impacting or affecting people in different ways. There were people from outside the borders of South Africa. So it was phenomenal. So it was really an amazing executive program.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you had a mentor in your journey, a mentor or a sponsor?
Yeah, I believe in mentorship wholeheartedly, Zodwa. So I'm a mentor to other people. Like currently I have 6 people that I mentor, and I believe in it. I have mentors myself. So I always, when I talk about my mentors, so I classify my mentors. So they are my spiritual mentors, Gogo, no Mama, Basisontweni, who are mentoring me in my spiritual journey. Mm-hmm. They are mentors that are business and professional mentors, whom I go to when, because sometimes in business, if you are at an MD level, like myself, sometimes there are decisions that you have to make just by weighing risk. If I do this, what will happen? If I don't do it, what will happen? But sometimes it's always nice to bounce that off to someone who has walked before you. So I have professional mentors whom I speak to very frequently, especially in strategy times and business decision making, just to hear their views. What I like about mentorship is that a mentor will not make a decision for you, but they will paint a picture. They'll tell you a story of what they've encountered in their business life. And then you apply yourself and make a decision that's best suited for your business. So I have mentors, and like I'm saying, I classify them in terms of business, personal, and spiritual mentors.
Mm-hmm. What are your views on transformation in corporate South Africa? Because there was a time when I think it was just like a lot of noise on social media. I think this was when Sihle Bolani had written a book, and he was contributing a lot about the issue of not transformation, not being maybe real or honest at corporate level. And now that you are in a corporate space, what would be your views there?
I think I feel very strongly that corporate South Africa is not transforming fast enough. I think it is transforming. And there was a time, immediately after 1994, I think there was kind of a pace or momentum that was kind of gaining. But in the early 2000s and now, that pace has gone horribly wrong. The pace is so slow. Like if you look at the top executives, the last time I was going through the business journal, if you look at the top 40 companies that are JSE listed, and you look for people of color who are in executive positions in those companies, that has gone down drastically. The last time I checked, it was like only 14%. I mean, if you think about the fact that Black South Africans are the majority of the population in South Africa, so surely we should be represented in those kind of companies, but it doesn't happen. So my view really is that I think corporate South Africa is transforming, but the pace is very slow, and it has gone even slower with the recent times. I think, you know, and then if you look at corruption and the cases that are happening around us, you know, there's so many things, and then we all get painted by the same brush. So there's a lot that needs to happen, but my view is I don't think it's transforming fast enough.
It's not transforming fast enough. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. So you mentioned that obviously you had to, like everybody else, you had to acclimatize to the new way of doing business with COVID and 19. So I'm just curious to know that in your space, like you were saying, what did it take now for you as the big boss of the station, you know, to just make sure that it's working and it's happening, and because you cannot be on air.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I think for me, one thing that I really have learned during COVID is that you need to surround yourself with the team that is able, determined, and capable of pivoting, of changing if the change is required. So my team at East Coast Radio, honestly, I would have not personally, as one person, been able to do the stuff that we have done if we didn't work as a team. So it just reinforced the whole thing of teamwork and really believing in your people and making sure that your people are equipped and capacitated to make right decisions. So we really were able, like I was saying earlier, Zodo, that you remember Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa made an announcement on the 23rd that South Africa will be locked down on the 26th. Actually today, is it today or tomorrow is a year since that day happened.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as a team, within 3 days, we needed to sit together, devise a plan in 3 days and make sure that it's actionable from the 23rd to the 26th. And this team was absolutely phenomenal. I refer to my team when I speak about them that they are the A team. I really think any leader, if you are in a leadership position, it's so important that you surround yourself with people who are, you know, there's a book I read, it's called Good to Great. You know, you need to make sure that people who are in the bus are people who are supposed to be in the bus and are the people who want to be in the bus, because there's nothing worse than having people who are in the bus, but they don't believe in your vision, they don't believe in your leadership, or they don't believe in you as a person. So it's very important that as a leader, you surround yourself with people who are capable, able, and really who want to be in the bus that you are driving. So, and it was, yeah, so visible during COVID that, you know, none of the stuff that we did could have happened if the team was not singing from the same hymn sheet.
Wow, people that want to be in the bus and then believe in your vision, because then they have to support the vision that you have as a leader. If you were not doing what you're doing, what would you be doing? What's your other passion?
Oh no. Like I always say, maybe in my next life, I will be a lecturer somewhere. Okay. I have a passion for education. And really my passion for education is driven by what I have gone through myself. You know, if I look at people I grew up with and some of my family members, honestly, the difference between the person I am today and the person I was growing up is education. So I believe that that's why I get really saddened when I hear that even today in South Africa, there are kids, in schools with no ablution system, there are kids with no books, and because if you look at all economies globally, whether it's in South Korea, it's in China, it's in India, those countries that were regarded as third world, the way they have impacted their communities is through education. So I really, my passion is very strong on education. That's why, like today, when we were opening the school, we met Mr. Mahlambi, who's the, I think we HOD, Yagwa Department of Education today, and we spoke very deeply about how can we work together in impacting education, because I really believe that if you want to liberate South Africa, you need to impact education meaningfully. My dad, growing up, he used to say to us, Zodo, the decisions you make about education today must be the decisions you are happy to live with tomorrow. And sometimes, you know, you can't even comprehend. You can't say, oh, I'll be happy. Tomorrow is the future. You know, if you decide not to go to school today, you should be happy. All right, nan. So I'm a firm believer in education, honestly.
So, wow, I love that. I love that you are a firm believer in education. So then you must have a view about what is happening now in tertiary institutions, you know, because it's affecting the education of these children that are currently not in class. So what do you think? I'm tempted to ask, what would you do if you were the current minister of education? What would you do?
I honestly I have very strong views, Zodwa. So for me, like I was telling you, I read a lot. I don't know an economy in the world that has free higher learning education. I don't know. Like Germany, apparently they once tried it, it didn't work. I think South Korea, they tried it, it didn't work. It just can't work. So I think sometimes, whether it's politicians or whoever, sometimes we make these promises that really, when you have to realize them and really make them happen, then they don't happen. So like I'm saying, I don't know a country, or like I don't know an economy that has a free system around education. So I believe that government needs to work very closely with corporate South Africa in helping government fund education. But free education, just, I don't think with the state of our economy, I mean, our economy, they said it's in the levels it was 100 years ago. So how can we, when we have unemployment so high, we have inequalities so high, like there's so much, and then we think we're going to have free education? That's one. But also secondly, I just think growing up, when we were growing up, there were teachers' colleges, there were vocational colleges, there were, like everybody now wants to go to university. I listened to the dean from Wits University the day the student died, you know, that first week of back to school, and then someone died. So, and so she was saying, we do have financial aid as a university. However, some of the students that are on strike today, 62% of the people who were aided last year have failed. And then the policy for the school is that if you fail, then you must pay for your own fees. But then people still want the school to help. So my point is, a university is not for everybody. Some people must go to vocational, some people must go to university, some people must go to tech, some people must go to, so I just think, yeah, like the strategy around higher learning education in South Africa needs a whole overhaul and a proper plan in terms of how everybody's going to be funded, because education is important, but it has to be funded meaningfully and sustainably.
It has to be funded meaningfully and sustainably. And all right, I'm just like trying to think now, when you were taking you back to tourism, when you were traveling a lot, what is it that would be peculiar that you learned from your travels, that you felt that perhaps if we applied it in the South African context where tourism is concerned, it would, you know, improve our offering as a country and as a province?
Yeah, so again, that I always say, you know, through God's grace, I was given that opportunity. I traveled to more than 72 countries in the world. So like, like unheard of. So I think what you see in other countries is that tourism is very coordinated. By coordination, I mean people work as a cohesive. Like it's not for this one, it's not for that one, but it's for the betterment of the industry in totality, and then everybody benefits. So, and in South Africa, you don't see that, especially in KZN. I think probably Western Cape is better than the other 8 provinces in South Africa, because I just think their efforts are more coordinated than they are here. So like from a business coordination, I think that's one thing we need to get right as South Africa. And I think another big one will probably be to understand what the tourists, when they travel to South Africa, what is it that they look out for? Because it's not everything. There's few things. I remember during my time at tourism, we used to position the country and the province, KwaZulu-Natal, as in we've got the most beautiful coast in South Africa, like 600 kilometers of coastline. We have the bush, we have the bag, and we have the big 5. So those are the things. And then what you find, if that wins, if your positioning of the destination wins, then it cascades to the rest of the province or of the country. But you need to be clear in terms of what's your unique selling point and what is your proposition. And then everything should build on that, instead of trying to say this to this one and that to this one. And then you find that everything is cluttered and everything is everywhere. So you need to have a consolidated way of how you position the country and the provinces or the destination. And then everything should build from that, because then if you do that, everything else then fall into place.
All right. Okay. What is the future of radio?
What is
the future of radio?
Oh, the future of radio. I think radio is live and kicking. I think the future of radio is bright. And I mean, if you think about the work we did at during the hard lockdown in South Africa, radio, like digital is growing, Zodwa, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's growing, and our digital platforms, you can see they're actually growing. However, one thing that works against digital and works for radio is credibility, because in radio, we are governed, like there's a BCCSA, so you can't just say anything on air. It has to be within the ambits of the industry. So whereas in digital platforms, people don't believe everything they read on the digital platforms, because credibility has gone out the window. You've seen, people using images of what happened in 2010, they say it happened today. So credibility, trustworthiness of the medium is really at its high, especially during COVID. What we saw as an industry is that during lockdown, our listenership actually went up. So the time spent listening, the amount of people listening to radio went skyrocketing, because we were a reliable source of information. So people come to radio to be informed, to be educated, and to be entertained from a music point of view. So I think the future is really, really bright. Like what I'm saying, what we've seen during COVID is that our listenership has gone up. The time spent listening has gone up. Normally, on an average, East Coast Radio is sitting between 2.5 hours of people just listening flat out. But that has gone up during COVID to like 4 hours. And the amount of people who are listening has gone up as well. So yeah, the credibility of radio has really been it's stronger now more than ever. All
right. So credibility is king. Okay, amazing. What's next for BONI? You're young. You've done your 5 years. There. Oh, no.
What's next? I think for now I am here, and there's still a lot to be done here at East Coast Radio. And Zodwa, being a corporate woman, you need to understand if your vision is still in line with the shareholders, and the affirmation that I'm getting from our board, our shareholders, is that everything is going well. I mean, there's a lot that's been achieved here during my time. I mean, as such, I was given CAPEX to revamp the entire studio to make sure that we are IR ready. So when 4IR happens, East Coast Radio will be there, because we've been there before time. So we are a very innovative business. We are trailblazers. Our positioning statement is we are KZN's #1 in everything that we do. So we need to lead. We are leaders, and then others must follow. So for that, the fact that, I've gotten a nod and everybody's happy with my leadership here, I'm still very much here and I'm fully present. And the next phase, what happens next? God will tell me.
All right.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and it's really amazing. We really have to celebrate. I think that achievement is it's quite something. When because sometimes you can do your best, and sometimes the leadership just is not moved by your best. I'm really happy for you. I think it's something worth celebrating. Okay, what is your parting shot? What is it that I have not asked that you would like to share with us? Because the spotlight is on you.
Okay, so maybe my parting shot really is, some people ask me, what is your secret? And my secret is simple, Zodwa, is that work hard. Like, I have never paid anyone for any job. So my secret is work hard and your work will speak volume for you. I don't believe that, I don't know a successful person who doesn't work hard. All successful people I know, they work hard. So that's one, work hard. There's a saying that people always say, don't take yourself serious. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I take myself serious because I believe if I don't take myself serious, who will take me serious? By this, when I say take myself serious, I'm not saying be tight like that. But when I say serious, you plan, have your personal plan about your life, have a plan about work, and have a plan about your family life. Because my belief is, if you don't plan, you are planning to fail though. The default of not planning is failing. So honestly, those are my two things: that work hard and take yourself seriously. By taking yourself seriously, that's what I mean. Plan for all eventualities, because then if the plan doesn't happen, at least you can plan a plan B. But if there's no plan, then nothing happens. And then the last one is respect. I believe fundamentally in respect. I believe in respecting myself, respecting others, and treat everybody like how I would like to be treated. So yeah, so that's really what I'd like.
All right, okay. Work hard, plan, because if you fail to plan, then you're going to fail generally as a person. And then of course, respect yourself first, and then respect everybody. I look forward to a day when you'll be comfortable enough to go back to government to lead the education sector. I'll be there.
Yeah. One day is one day. One day is one day.
One day is one day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. That was our Woman Thrive series this afternoon. Thank you, Sis BONI, MCHUNU, Umahlela, for joining us this afternoon. And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you everything of the best for everything that you do at a personal level, family level, and also professional level.
Thank you so much, Zodwa. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about myself. Thank you.
God bless you abundantly. Ikamalami, Zodwa Msimang. Excuse me, Kanzi Bande, your host. Thank you to our team. It's MCHUNU Thrive Global. Excuse me, Ubusi Shabalala, our producer, and Ubusi Kumalo, who is our technical producer, and Angel Nkize, who is my assistant. Thank you so much, BONI. All the best.
Thank you so much, sister. Cheers. Bye.